You can replace this text with any text you wish. You can either write in this text box or paste your own text here. Try different languages and voices. Change the speed and the pitch of the voice. You can even tweak the SSML, speech synthesis markup language, to control how the different sections of the text sound. Click on SSML above to give it a try. Enjoy using text-to-speech. The day my father removed my daughter from his will was the day he forgot who had been holding his life together. I remember the silence in that room. It wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. It was final. My dad sat at the head of the table, his reading glasses low on his nose, holding a freshly printed document. My younger brother leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, watching like he already knew how this would end. And my daughter, Emma, sat beside me, quietly coloring on a piece of paper, unaware that her world was about to shift. I've made some changes to my will, my father said, his voice steady. I didn't think much of it at first, until he looked directly at me. Emma won't be included anymore. For a second, I thought I misheard him. What? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She's not my blood, he replied. And I've decided to keep things within the family. The words landed like a slap. Emma wasn't just my daughter, she was my choice. My responsibility. My heart. I adopted her when she was 3 years old, after years of struggling to have children. She was quiet, fragile, but full of a kind of love I didn't even know I needed. And now, at 8 years old, she was being erased from a family she thought was hers. Dad, I said, trying to stay calm, she is family. He shook his head. You may see it that way. I don't. The room felt colder. My brother smirked slightly, but said nothing. I looked at Emma, still coloring, still innocent, still safe for now. I took a deep breath. Okay, I said softly. If that's your decision, I understand. My father seemed almost relieved. He thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. That night, after putting Emma to bed, I sat alone in the living room of the house my father lived in. The same house I had quietly purchased 3 years ago. He didn't know. No one did. When my father retired, he couldn't afford to keep up with the mortgage. My brother didn't help. No one stepped in. So I did. I paid off the remaining balance and transferred the property under my name, not to control him, not to use against him, but to protect him, because that's what family does. Or at least, what I believed family should be. The next morning, I made a call, then another. By the afternoon, everything was in motion. 2 days later, I visited my father again. Emma stayed home with a friend. This time, I didn't sit down. I reviewed your will, I said calmly. He nodded. Good. Then you understand my position. I do, I replied, and then I placed a folder on the table. He frowned. What's this? Something you forgot. He opened it. First, confusion. Then, realization. This is the property deed, he said, his voice tightening. Yes. He looked up at me. Why is your name on it? Because I own the house, I said quietly. The room went silent again, but this time, it wasn't peaceful. You, what? He asked, his voice rising. I bought it when you couldn't afford it anymore, I explained. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to feel like you owed me anything. His hands trembled slightly. You're lying. I'm not, I said. You can verify it. My brother grabbed the papers, scanning them quickly. His expression changed immediately. It's real, he muttered. My father leaned back in his chair. For the first time, he looked unsure. You're saying, this house isn't mine? He asked. I met his eyes. I'm saying, I replied calmly, that you live here because I wanted you to have a place to call home. The weight of that truth settled heavily in the room. I would never use this against you, I continued. But you made a decision about my daughter, without understanding what family really means. He looked down, silent. Processing. I'm not asking you to change your will, I said. That's your choice. I paused, but I am asking you to understand this. Emma is my daughter. And anyone who chooses to exclude her is choosing to distance themselves from me too. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then my father sighed. Not out of anger, but something deeper, regret. I didn't think. He started, then stopped. I know, I said gently. A week later, he called me. His voice was quieter than I'd ever heard it. I want to see Emma, he said. When we visited, he didn't bring up the will. Instead, he sat beside her as she drew pictures on the table. After a while, he asked, "Can you draw me too?" Emma smiled. "Of course, Grandpa." And in that moment, something shifted. Not perfectly, not instantly, but enough. A month later, he updated the will again. This time, Emma's name was included, because sometimes it takes losing control to finally understand what truly matters.